My name is Dr. Lee, and I am a surgeon in Seoul, a city that never truly sleeps, much like myself sometimes. I am 38 years old, and for more than half my life, I have been driven by a single, unwavering purpose: to heal, to mend, to save. My days begin before the first blush of dawn, the sterile scent of the hospital already clinging to my clothes as I review charts, prepare for rounds, and mentally walk through complex procedures. The operating room is my sanctuary, a place of intense focus where every cut, every stitch, every decision holds the weight of a person's future. There's a profound honor in holding a life in your hands, but also a crushing responsibility. I've sacrificed much for this calling: late nights stretching into early mornings, missed family gatherings, the quiet hum of a personal life often overshadowed by the urgent beeping of machines and the silent pleas in patients' eyes. I tell myself it's worth it, that every saved life, every pain eased makes the sacrifice meaningful. But lately, a quiet fear has been growing inside me, a nagging doubt that whispers when I am alone in the scrub room, asking if I am truly enough, if my best is always enough. This is my internal nemesis, the fear of inadequacy, the gnawing anxiety that one day, despite all my efforts, I won't be able to provide the miracle a patient so desperately needs. It's a fear that claws at me, especially after a long, difficult case, when the sheer impossibility of some situations feels too heavy to bear. One particularly demanding week brought me face to face with this fear like never before. A young man, barely 23, named Min-jun, was admitted after a horrific scooter accident. His dream, his entire life's ambition, was to be a professional dancer. His spirit was as bright and agile as his movements, but his left leg was severely crushed. From the moment he arrived, his hope was a fragile thing, held together by sheer willpower and the trust he placed in us. I spent endless hours in the operating room, performing multiple intricate surgeries, painstakingly trying to reconstruct the shattered bones, repair the torn nerves, and restore the damaged blood flow. I consulted with every specialist, every senior surgeon I respected. We exhausted every option, every innovative technique. I gave up sleep, working on adrenaline and a deep, burning desire to save his leg, to save his dream. I saw his family in the waiting room, their faces etched with worry, their eyes pleading with me. I felt the weight of their hope and Min-jun's own quiet determination pressing down on me. But despite our best efforts, despite my tireless work and the collective wisdom of my colleagues, complications began to set in. The infection spread, the tissue viability decreased, and the signs became clearer and clearer with each passing hour. My heart sank with every new piece of data, every failing vital sign. I pushed through my exhaustion, trying to find another way, another solution, but every path led to the same devastating conclusion. There came a point, after yet another failed attempt to improve the blood supply, a moment in the quiet of the operating room where the stark reality hit me with the force of a physical blow. I stood there, sterile gloves on, instruments laid out, but utterly powerless. My internal nemesis roared, telling me I had failed, that I wasn't enough, that I couldn't do it. My hands, usually so steady, felt heavy, useless. I couldn't save his leg. To save his life, to prevent further suffering, amputation was the only remaining option. This was my lowest point. Telling his family was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, seeing the light drain from their eyes. But facing Min-jun, that was truly agonizing. When I explained to him, gently, clearly, that he would lose his leg, his bright eyes, usually so full of life, became hollow. The quiet despair that settled over him was palpable, heavier than any physical wound. He just lay there, staring at the ceiling, his dream shattering into a million pieces right before my eyes. The thought of giving up, of walking away from medicine, even if just for a day, crossed my mind, overwhelmed by the feeling of utter defeat. The night after I delivered the news to Min-jun, I found myself unable to leave his side. The surgery was scheduled for the morning, and the thought of him spending those final hours alone with his despair was unbearable. I pulled up a chair beside his bed in the dimly lit hospital room. The rhythmic beeping of the monitors was the only sound breaking the silence. I wasn't there as his surgeon anymore, not in the traditional sense, because I couldn't fix what was broken in the way he wanted. I was just Dr. Lee, a human being sitting with another human being who was hurting deeply. He didn't speak for a long time, just lay there, a single tear tracing a path down his temple into his hair. I didn't push him. I just stayed, a silent witness to his grief. After what felt like hours, he finally whispered, his voice hoarse, "What's the point now? My life? It's over." His words, so raw and full of anguish, pierced through my professional composure. This was the turning point. This was when I realized my job wasn't just to save a leg, but to help save a spirit. I took a deep breath. Min-jun, I began, my voice soft but firm, your life is not over. It is changing, yes, in a way that is profoundly difficult, but it is not over. You are still Min-jun, the strong, determined, passionate young man who dreams. Your dream of dancing, it can evolve. It can find a new form. I started talking to him, not about prosthetics or rehabilitation, not yet, but about possibility. I shared stories I'd read, stories I'd heard from other patients who had faced similar losses but had found incredible new paths. I told him about adaptive sports, about people who had found new ways to express themselves through art, through music, even through teaching. I talked about the incredible resilience of the human spirit, the way it can bend but not break, and how true strength comes from finding purpose even when the path changes. We talked through the night, sometimes in whispers, sometimes in long stretches of silence. I listened more than I spoke, letting him voice his fears, his anger, his profound sadness. Slowly, imperceptibly at first, I saw a flicker, a tiny spark returning to his eyes. By the time the first rays of morning light filtered through the window, painting the room in soft hues of orange and pink, Min-jun was still scared, still hurting, but something new was stirring within him. He looked at me, a different kind of trust in his gaze. Maybe, he whispered, maybe I can still teach. Maybe I can inspire others who face challenges. Maybe I can still find a way to move, even if it's different. My leap of faith, my decision to stay and offer not medical expertise but human connection, had paid off. The surgery went smoothly the next morning, but the true healing had begun hours before. Min-jun's recovery was long and arduous, but he approached it with a new resolve. He embraced his physical therapy, not as a dancer striving for perfection, but as a warrior forging a new path. I continued to visit him, not just for medical checkups, but to listen to his evolving dreams. He started learning about prosthetics, not as limitations, but as tools for new possibilities. My own perspective on medicine shifted profoundly. I still perform surgeries with the same dedication, but I now approach every patient with a deeper understanding of the person behind the diagnosis. I mentor junior doctors, emphasizing the importance of empathy, of listening, of seeing beyond the physical wound to the emotional and spiritual needs of our patients. I encourage them to sit with patients, to talk, to build a human connection. My new normal is one where success isn't just measured by a perfectly healed incision, but by a spirit uplifted, a dream reimagined. I started a small support group within the hospital for patients facing limb loss, where they can share their stories and find encouragement. Years passed, and I heard snippets about Min-jun, how he was doing well. He started a successful dance studio, not performing himself, but teaching adaptive dance, helping others with physical challenges find joy and expression through movement. Then, one day, a beautifully crafted letter arrived at the hospital, addressed directly to me. It was from Min-jun. He wrote about his life, his studio, his beautiful wife and daughter. He said he was launching a foundation to provide emotional support and resources for young people facing life-altering injuries, and he wanted me to be an honorary board member. He ended the letter by saying, "Dr. Lee, that night in the hospital, you didn't save my leg, but you saved my soul. You showed me that even when the body breaks, the spirit can soar. You helped me find a new dream, and because of you, I'm helping others find theirs." That letter, that incredible testament to a simple act of human kindness, solidified everything. It was a beautiful twist of fate, proving to me that sometimes, the greatest healing happens not with a scalpel, but with a listening ear and a hopeful heart. It truly does get better, and sometimes, our purpose changes in the most unexpected and beautiful ways.